For, well, basically all of human history, life was stuck in a trap. But then, in just the last couple of centuries, something absolutely incredible happened. We staged a great escape. And this is the story of how we did it and the journey we still have ahead of us.
You know, to really understand the escape, you have to first understand the prison. So let's just rewind the clock 200 years, back to 1820. I want you to try and forget everything you know about the modern world. Just picture a reality where the odds are completely stacked against you right from the moment you're born. A life of just grinding poverty, constant disease, and almost zero education. That wasn't just a possibility, it was the norm for pretty much everyone on the planet. That was the trap.
So to really get a handle on the scale of this escape, we've got to look at the bars of the cage. And these are the hard numbers that paint a pretty stark picture of what the world was actually like back in 1820.
Okay, so in 1820, 3 out of every 4 people on the entire planet lived in what we now call extreme poverty. That means no reliable food, no decent shelter, none of the absolute basic things you need to survive. It was the default setting for being human.
And life itself was just heartbreakingly fragile. For parents, losing a child wasn't a rare, unthinkable tragedy. It was common. It was expected. An almost unbelievable 43% of all children born back then died before they even reached their 5th birthday. Just let that sink in for a second.
And the world of knowledge, science, history, stories, it was all locked away. Why? Because 9 out of every 10 people on Earth couldn't read or write. Humanity's greatest ideas and discoveries were basically inaccessible to almost all of humanity.
It's a bleak picture, I know, but this is where the story takes a turn. Because humanity didn't stay in that trap. We figured out a way out. We staged this incredible escape on 3 huge fronts. The first escape, and maybe the most fundamental one, was from early death and disease. This wasn't just a small improvement, it was a total revolution in what it meant to survive, completely rewriting the human experience. What's so amazing about this visual is just how fast everything changed. On the left, you've got that grim reality we talked about, 4 in 10 kids not making it to their 5th birthday. Now look at that graph on the right. That line plummeting downwards, that's not just a line on a chart. It represents millions and millions of children who actually got to grow up. This one change was so huge, it caused global life expectancy to leap from just 46 years in 1950 to over 72 today.
And this chart just brilliantly shows how widespread this revolution has been. Look at that gray bar on the far left. That's the life expectancy in the absolute richest parts of the world back in 1950. Now look at the bar for Africa in 2019. It's almost the same. People in some of the world's poorest regions today live about as long as people in the wealthiest countries did just a couple of generations ago. That is an absolutely astounding achievement.
The second escape really built on that first one. This was an escape from, the darkness of ignorance into the light of knowledge. The world just completely flipped. We went from a planet where 9 out of 10 people were locked out of the written word to one where today more than 8 out of 10 of us are literate. Can you just imagine the human potential that was unleashed by that one shift alone?
And the third great escape was from the poverty trap itself. Remember that staggering 75% number from 1820? Well, today, for the very first time in all of human history, fewer than 1 in 10 people live in extreme poverty. Billions of people have been lifted out of desperation and into a world with far more opportunity.
So this all leads to the big question, right? How? After thousands of years of things being basically the same, how did humanity pull all of this off in just 200 years? What was the engine that powered all this unprecedented progress?
The answer really comes down to this fundamental shift in how the world works. See, for most of history, the world was what you'd call zero-sum. Think of the economy like a single pizza. For my slice to get bigger, your slice had to get smaller. One person's gain was almost always another's loss. But then, we figured out how to make more pizza for everybody. We created a positive-sum world where shared progress wasn't just a dream, it was possible.
And this right here, this is the engine. It's a virtuous cycle. It feeds on itself. Scientific innovation gave us new tools and technologies. Global trade let ideas and goods spread everywhere. Better education meant more people could contribute their own clever ideas. And of course, better health meant people could live longer, more productive lives. Each part boosted the others, and the result was this incredible explosion of progress.
It's truly an incredible story of human achievement. But, and this is important,
The story isn't over. This great escape is still a work in progress, and the journey ahead has its own set of challenges.
Because for hundreds of millions of people all over the world, that trap is still very, very real. Our work is far from finished.
The very same data that shows us how much progress we've made also shines a bright light on the road ahead. I mean, look at these numbers. 10 children under the age of 5 still die every single minute, mostly from things we know how to prevent. 1 out of every 4 people on this planet still doesn't have safe drinking water. And as you can see on this map, there are whole regions where being able to read and write is still a distant dream.
The story of the last 200 years proves one thing beyond a doubt. The traps of poverty, disease, and ignorance are not our destiny. We proved they can be beaten. So the question that this leaves for all of us is this: knowing what's possible, seeing how far we've come, how do we finally complete the journey for everyone?